Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Dr. Brenna Murphy. I'm a lazy naturopath, and I'm here tonight to address something that I just saw on social media that is so ridiculous. As in my responsibility to you, in my responsibility to science, in my responsibility to good, reputable information getting out there, had to address. And that is the rumor going around that something called Luciferin is in the Moderna vaccine in a 66.6% dilution. This is false. This is absolutely false. But let's break this down. Number one, what is Luciferin? Luciferin, though it has a somewhat scary name, is actually a protein found in fireflies, and it is what helps them light up in combination with the enzyme luciferase. Now, the luce is from the Latin term light or lux. Lucifer is also from that Latin derivation, but the luce is like elucidate. So the luce in luciferase is not anything to do with anything biblical. It has to do with light itself, because this is the enzyme and the protein that lets fireflies light up. Now, what would this have to do at all with vaccines? Why would somebody ever put these two ideas together? Well, luciferase is used in vaccine research. So let's talk about how you even start the process of figuring out how to make a vaccine. So one of the things that scientists have to do is try to identify antibodies that will stick to the thing we're trying to kill. Now, antibodies are built kind of like lobsters. So they're basically long, skinny bodies with hands that stick up with pinchers. And each of the pinchers have different shapes. So sometimes they are square, sometimes they're rectangular, sometimes they're all funky shapes. And based on the shape of those pinchers, the antibody can stick to different things. So think about a tank of lobsters in a seafood restaurant, but each of those lobsters had a bunch of different pincher shapes. Now, even if you were standing like 10 feet away from that lobster tank, you probably couldn't tell too much what those different shapes were, maybe a little bit. But antibodies are tiny, beyond microscopic. Like, you can't even see them with a good microscope. You have to use something like an electron microscope. So this is like trying to identify which lobster has which shaped claw standing across the street from the restaurant at best. And so it's impossible without some sort of marker. And this is where the luciferase comes in, or sometimes we use a colorimetric marker. Luciferase is a fluorescent marker, and there are other fluorescent markers. But basically, the general idea is we have the thing we're trying to kill, in this case a virus, and it has different bumps on the outside of it. And we are trying to match the shape of the virus bumps to a lobster claw. And so we dump the virus in the lobster tank, we let the lobster swim around, and we see which ones attach to the virus. Now, with antibodies, when that attachment happens, it's pretty stable, meaning that once they stick, they stay stuck. And so with lobsters, using our lobster analogy, pretend that those lobsters kind of like were magnetic, that once the stick happens, once the attachment happens, it doesn't go anywhere. And so we then flush the rest of the non-stuck lobsters out of the tank, and now we just have the virus and all the lobsters stuck to the virus. But again, we're standing across the street, and we can't tell which lobsters are stuck to the virus. So what these indicators do, like luciferase and other fluorescent and colorimetric indicators, is they're like coming along with spray paint and tagging the lobsters that are stuck. So in this case, it's fluorescent spray paint. Sometimes it's colored spray paint. But either way, it's a way to kind of see the lobsters, because now we can turn the lights off and see, yes, lobsters are stuck, and what they're kind of, and to some extent, what they're stuck to. And this gets way more sophisticated, but you turn on the lights on in the restaurant, even if you're across the street, you can kind of still see the glow that, hey, that worked, and it's this set of lobsters. And then we dig in even further to see if the lobster is even stuck to anything useful. How do we make more of those lobsters? How do we package them in a way that we can deliver them safely to now kill off other viruses? But the baseline of this is luciferase is nothing to do with anything biblical. It only overlaps with Lucifer because both those names come from the derivation lux for light, and it's actually from fireflies. And it's not in any of the vaccines. Now, it was used in some early research for actually COVID testing by the University of Texas, and University of South Florida used it for some, again, COVID treatment development and early research, but it's not actually in the vaccine. It would never be in a vaccine. That's not the use of it. The use of it is in early stage screening and development of things like vaccines and other medications. All right, please check your sources. Go to scientists who are in vaccine research, go to people who understand immunology, go to people who are speaking from a state of knowledge. And honestly, in this case, you can Google it. I Googled luciferase, and the first thing that came up was this is something used in vaccine development and research. I Googled Moderna and luciferase, and the first thing that came up was a very detailed breakdown of why this isn't true and how this works, why luciferase exists at all. So, takeaway, luciferase is a firefly-related enzyme, and bigger takeaway, it's not in the vaccines. And I guess third takeaway is please get vaccinated. This is the best thing you can do to protect yourself from COVID. This is a highly contagious respiratory disease with significant long-term sequelae for a significant number of people who get it. For children, there are drops in IQ. We see fatigue. We see brain fog. There are long-term heart issues and long-term kidney issues. The risk of the vaccine is minuscule, number one, but also is so much less than the risk of this condition. And it's deadly. It has killed 700,000 people in America in the last 18, 19 months that we can determine died of COVID. This is not worth the risk. Get the vaccine. Please get vaccinated. And please, if you have questions, come to somebody who can at least explain what the rumor is based on. So doing your research means going to researchers, going to peer-reviewed studies, going to scientists, not Facebook, not rumors. And unfortunately, there are people in positions of power who are telling you things that are absolutely false and misleading you. And it sucks. They shouldn't be doing it. It's irresponsible. And it pisses me off a lot. But that's my job, is to come in and say, here are the facts. And here's what you need to know to make a choice based on actual reproducible data. And the actual reproducible data is there's no devil in the vaccine. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Maybe less worked up, who knows? But either way, I'll be back. I'm Dr. Brenna Murphy. I'm a lazy naturopath, here to tell you to please get vaccinated.